I am Justin Boyd.
And I'm the goddess of mischief. And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers of the Basement. We are here today to celebrate 15 years of the God of Thunder. That's right. The fourth Thor film, which is a building block for the MCU, featuring the one of the OG Avengers and arguably the strongest Avenger, the Mighty Thor.
The Hulk?
No. Strongest Avenger is Thor, I believe, right? I mean, it's up for debate in another Thor movie, but
yeah.
today we're talking about the first one. So, Brittany, first off, what are your do you remember seeing this movie? Did you see it in theaters? What are your early memories of this film?
Yeah, I did not see this movie in theaters. I'm pretty sure I didn't. My relationship with the early movies of the MCU were all over the place. I did not see things in order. It was a mess. Okay. Like I remember watching the Avengers, like Marvel Avengers, right? The first team up. And when it got to the part showcasing Cap and he's boxing, you see the back muscles and, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Right. So that should tell you, okay. I just didn't watch these movies when they released or in any particular order. I was missing movies. I just kind of went in for the team up and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to go back and watch some of these solo films. So yeah, definitely did not see Thor in the theater. I really don't even remember when I watched Thor at any point. It definitely was after, I want to say, the first Avengers team up movie. Because I remember that first scene with Loki and I was just like, who's this guy? Why? What's with the hair? Like, why? So definitely saw Thor later. It is one of my favorite movies. Also because there's a little bit of a Harry Potter tie-in with this movie, and that is with the director. There's a funny meme regarding Kenneth Branagh, who directed the first Thor movie, and his character Gilderoy Lockhart. If you know, you know. The joke is that Gilderoy Lockhart, who was a sham of a wizard, would obliviate and erase the minds of other wizards and take their stories and make them into his own. So the joke is Kenneth Branagh didn't actually direct Thor. He just took the credit from someone else who actually did. So it's kind of funny. But no, this movie is awesome. It's got like great comedic timing. I love Stellan Skarsgård, Natalie Portman, of course, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, fucking Sir Anthony Hopkins. Like, love that man. Absolutely love him. And then Kat Dennings, she's awesome in this movie. This movie is just great overall. It tells a really good story. It's always a fun rewatch for me personally.
Yeah, we're about to go through the highlights from the film, but first, let me hit you with the facts. Released May 6, 2011. It is the fourth film of Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There were 3 sequels after that. Of course, we had Thor: The Dark World in 2013, Thor: Ragnarok in 2017, and Thor: Love and Thunder in 2022. Runtime 1 hour 55 minutes. Nice to be under 2 hours. That's kind of unique for the MCU. Although there's been a few that have been under 2 hours. Box office 449 million. Kind of on the lower end, especially early on for these movies. But Thor kind of got going with Ragnarok a few years later. As Brittany mentioned, directed by Kenneth Branagh. The film was written by Ashley Edward Miller, Zach Stentz, and Don Payne, with a story by credit by J. Michael Straczynski and Mark Protasevich. Music by Patrick Doyle, which I think the music's pretty good. The soundtrack sounds, I enjoyed it. It's unfortunate you don't really hear the music continue with the movies. I think every movie kind of had a different composer, a different sound. But I thought the music was pretty strong. Also, by the way, Foo Fighters has a song in this film that's played twice. It's played in the bar scene late in the movie where Selvig's with Thor in New Mexico, and then we have it playing over the end credits. It's the song "Walk." So pretty good Foo Fighters song at the time, back in 2011. Yeah. The cast is Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Tom Hiddleston, Stellan Skarsgård, Kat Dennings, Clark Gregg, Colm Feore, Ray Stevenson, Idris Elba, Jamie Alexander, Rene Russo, and Sir Anthony Hopkins. So, Brittany, you've kind of already kind of given your thoughts a little bit, but um, how do you think this movie has held up over the years compared to, obviously the sequels that came along?
Mhm.
You know, Dark World is not one of people's favorite. I know it's you enjoy it, but like
I enjoy it, yes.
Ragnarok was the big hit for Thor. Uh, Love and Thunder did well. Both of us enjoyed that movie, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of negative backlash to that film. So where does this film kind of set in the foursome of the Thor films for you? Is it the number one? Like, how would you rank them?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, I think I'm gonna have to go you know, that's tough, Justin. I wanna say because it's the kickoff to all of the solo films that is Thor,
Yeah,
it sets the foundation, introduces us to all these characters and their storylines and what have you. I think what I really enjoy about Dark World is the soundtrack. The music that plays when Freya dies, right? Like her funeral procession and what have you. Like that music is just
sure.
overwhelmingly
Mhm.
stunning. It is
You
so ethereal.
mhm.
It's so good.
Do you
No,
mean
but I mean,
Frigga? You mean Frigga?
would I say Freya? Sorry, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of another character. Frigga.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, beautiful, just like beautiful music. You see, the relationship between Thor and Loki, how that's changed as a result of what has happened with Avengers, the team up movie. Um, that's beside the point. I actually I might keep the order of the movies in its release. Like, the first I like it as it's released,
Yeah.
you know. I do like Ragnarok for different reasons because the fact that it was just so out of that world and just like so funny and just so very different from the first two Thor movies, even though you got those hints of comedic timing from Thor, Loki, and other characters, right? But I would probably keep the order as it is, as
Yeah.
it has been released.
I mean, obviously that's your personal opinion. That's good. Like, I think a lot of
You're
people.
like, but you're wrong.
No, 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 no. I think a lot of people would disagree, but um, I
Yeah,
gotta
they'll
say,
probably
like,
put Dark World at last, and I get
yeah,
that,
I think
but
that's the
I
consensus,
like
and I
it.
think Ragnarok is the consensus for the best one. But
It's good.
um,
Yes.
so before, like the last 10 days, I've watched this movie about 3 times. Actually, I've watched it 3 times. Before that, I'd probably seen the movie like maybe once in its entirety, and I've seen parts and pieces on
What?
TV.
Wow.
Maybe I'd seen it twice. I don't know. Not very many times. And for a long time, and I think the one thing about this film that is the kind of consensus is this movie's kind of underrated. It's kind of slept on it, even by me. I'm not just like throwing out a straw man. I'm saying myself, it's kind of slept on by me. And after
Mhm.
watching it, like I said, the past 10 days, I've watched it, like I said, 3 times.
Mhm.
This movie's pretty good. Like I,
It's good. The
I think that,
CGI has held up.
yeah, I think this movie is much better than I remember it being. Not that I thought it was bad, but I thought it was just kind of, I think I thought it was just kind of like, well, it's just like on the way to Avengers. We're just trying to get to Avengers. It's fine. You establish characters, but when you really dig in and like really pay attention and kind of absorb everything, this movie is really solid. And I think that uh, phase one was really built on a strong foundation. If you go back and look at it, I don't think phase one, besides obviously the Avengers and obviously um, the first Iron Man movie, those are you know without a doubt beloved movies. But those are kind of
Mhm.
classic MCU films. But I really think the whole slate of phase one, which includes Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America the First Avenger, leading up to the Avengers, those are all really solid. Like, they're solid to great movies, I think.
Yeah,
And I think maybe the Hulk might be on the low end, but even that, a lot of that's because Edward Norton didn't continue as the character. And it was like they didn't,
yeah,
there was kind of a weirdness. Also, the fact that Universal still, you know, has rights to that character. So it's kind of a weird partnership deal.
it is.
In fact, a lot of people don't even kinda consider it one of the MCU films, which I think is kinda crazy considering it's the second one and it came out,
So
like,
silly.
2 months after Iron Man,
Mhm.
but back to Thor, I just think this movie is really good. I think the casting
Mhm.
was excellent. We're gonna go through the cast in a
So good.
second.
So
I
good.
think every scene with Thor and Loki are exceptional. I think both characters have these great arcs, these great character
Mhm.
arcs.
Mhm.
Um, it's a well-written film. I think the dialogue is great. I'm gonna have some lines from the movie here in a second.
Of course you
Um,
will.
one thing about this movie also is that, people as obviously Ragnarok and Love and Thunder were very comedic, and some people think that maybe Love and Thunder was too far. It was kinda silly, and I can kinda see that a little bit,
Sure. Sure.
but the same people that say that always harken back to like, "Oh, well, but, we need to go back to the Shakespearean Thor of the first movie." And yeah, there's some Shakespearean stuff, I guess, in there because Kenneth Branagh directed a Shakespeare film or was in a
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare film, but
Oh, yeah, was it Much Ado About Nothing? Yeah.
I think so. But
Mhm.
there was always humor with the Thor character. I mean, like, and
Yes.
again, we're gonna go through all this stuff, but I think that's, like, there's quite a bit of humor in this movie,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and then also this movie brings space and magic to the MCU for the first time. If you think
Mhm.
about it, before this, you had kind of ground-based characters with Iron Man,
Mhm.
the Hulk. Now you're this, like, space Viking, the Norse mythology, all that
Yep.
stuff you're getting in there, and, I mean, it's quite an achievement, honestly, the way what it all pulls off. So,
Agreed.
yeah,
And I think the chemistry that the cast throughout this whole
yeah,
movie had with one another was so spot on, and it's really, really, I wanna say, difficult to be able to achieve that level of chemistry with so many well-known actors, right? Because you sometimes you get the diva of them, or what have you. I mean, again, you're working with Sir Anthony Hopkins, who has quite the catalog, right? Quite the reputation. And then you get um oh god, Frigga. I
Rene
forgot her.
Russo.
Rene Russo. I was gonna say
Yeah,
Renee Zellweger. I'm like, no, that's not right. Rene Russo comes out of retirement to to be in this movie. I mean, that has to say a lot, right? Now, wait, did she come out of retirement for this movie, or was it for the other scenes in Endgame?
I think it was for Endgame, I don't
Okay, maybe
remember,
you're right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but
But
yeah,
regardless, like, she's a legend in her own right. Natalie Portman, I've always loved since Star Wars. Stellan Skarsgård. I mean, the Skarsgård name is royalty, movie royalty at this point. There's 1,200 of them, and and then for me, Kat Dennings, that was kind of like refreshing because to me, I mean, yeah, she had a career, but to it kind of just elevated her even more, I want to say. And she's got that dry sense of humor, the comedic timing, everything just worked. Like the trio of Jane, um, oh god, I'm spacing out on their character names. But
Darcy,
Darcy and then Stellan's character,
Eric Selvig, yeah,
Eric Selvig.
yeah,
The three of them, like they just all worked so well together. So it was so cohesive. And yeah, it's really, to me, I can't think of what other movie could just be able to have that many cast members work so well together. Because
yeah,
sometimes on the screen you can be like, yeah, this seems forced between these characters. No, everything to me seemed incredibly natural. And then I think
yeah,
for Tom Hiddleston, it was one of his first major roles, and he was just 28, 29 years old at the time. And
yeah,
to play this villain so well, bravo. Like, just bravo.
and also for Chris Hemsworth. He
That
had
too.
done some stuff, but he played Captain Kirk's dad in the Star Trek reboot movie,
Mhm.
but that was a kind of a short-lived part given
Yeah.
what happens in the movie.
Mhm.
This was kinda his big breakout role,
Yep.
and, originally let's have some casting what ifs. Originally, Marvel passed on Chris Hemsworth,
Yep.
and his brother Liam got farther
Mhm.
along in the process initially,
Very odd.
and very strange, yeah,
Very
and
strange.
and then, one of the movies that Chris was working on around the same time was a movie called Cabin in the Woods, which, by the way, I've never seen. I would like to watch it, I just never got around to watching it,
Wait, which movie
and
was it again?
Cabin in the Woods,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've
which
seen
was
it.
directed by Drew Goddard, who Drew Goddard, his name has been synonymous with these comic book films, and he's done a lot
Mhm.
of stuff. Like he worked on Project Hail Mary, he's done a lot of stuff. But also the executive producer for Cabin in the Woods was Joss Whedon. Joss
Mm.
Whedon, of course, was directing the Avengers, and they were putting the
Mhm.
Avengers together, and he was um, trying to figure out, how to bring these heroes to the big screen all together.
Yeah.
And so both Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon pushed for Chris to, hey, try Marvel again. Keep trying them. We think you're the guy.
Mhm.
And they end up being correct.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Tom Hiddleston. He actually auditioned to play Thor.
Thor.
And that
Yes,
that
he did.
audition, you can find it on YouTube. I watched it today.
It's
Um,
so strange.
I think he could have been a good Thor. Honestly, he could have been a good Thor. I really
I
do. But I
I
mean,
don't disagree.
yeah,
It's just so strange,
it
like,
really is. Yeah.
because you look at the character Loki and how it's evolved from the movies into his own show, and to see the outcome of what his character is ultimate character, right?
Yeah.
I can't see anyone else being
Oh yeah.
Loki other than, it's the same thing with RDJ. No one else
Yeah.
can be Iron Man but
Yeah.
RDJ.
No,
So,
I mean, now it's all perfect casting. Like, it
oh,
is like, that's
absolutely.
really been one of the superpowers of the MCU has been their casting. It's honestly hard to think of a casting that wasn't, like, spot on or great. I know we've talked about it before. I was thinking about it
Mhm.
earlier today, and I was like, I can't think of one I really don't like, like, it's
Oh, me, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. I can't.
I mean, I don't really
Nope,
like her movies, but I do like her
no.
in Endgame. I think she's good in that movie, so, um, I think it's all in
That
how the character is kind of written, so but
yeah.
casting was great, and obviously Chris Hemsworth won out the role, but the other actors who were up for the role were Charlie Hunnam, Joel Kinnaman, and Alexander Skarsgård. So,
Of course, Skarsgård.
yeah, yeah. So that could have been a little different with those guys, I think. I don't know that it would have been as big a hit with
No.
without Chris Hemsworth. Like, he's just
No,
like
no,
the
no, no,
face.
no.
Like, this is the role he was kind of born to play, it seems like.
Charlie Hunnam though, but, no. He's
Yeah.
kinda got the build, like, I can see it, but
I mean, they're all kind of tallish, athletic
yeah,
kind of dudes. So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, as far as that, I don't know if they could pull it off the way Chris Hemsworth did.
Agreed.
The only other kind of, like, weird casting what if that I found was for Odin. Uh, about 10 years ago, Mel Gibson said he was approached about the role but decided not to do it. So I
No.
I don't know that I believe that
Oh.
necessarily, but, honestly, I'm sure he could have done it, but, like, obviously, I think it was much better that
Oof.
Anthony Hopkins did it, and, the MCU
Listen,
maybe dodged a bullet with that one.
don't misunderstand me. I love Mel Gibson's work.
Yeah.
I think he's a phenomenal actor, but no.
Yeah, I
No,
think I think it worked out for the best. Yeah.
absolutely. Sir Anthony he just has a way, and it's so hard to put into words, but just every role I've watched him in,
Mhm.
to me, it's so effortless for him. I don't know, he just has this really uncanny ability to be able to absorb himself into this role, and it's almost like a second skin for him, right? It's
Yeah.
it's almost it's almost just who he is.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that as, like, he does method, because obviously there's actors who do method. It's just very effortless, and you see it play out on the screen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, he's one of my favorite characters in this whole franchise.
Yeah. Now, he is not the funny character. In fact, he's probably the only character that doesn't have any funny moments, but
I don't know,
there
that whole thing is
yeah.
it's kinda
Well,
crazy.
he does have a line reading that I think is hilarious when when Thor's talking about, as king of Asgard, and he cuts him off. He's like, "But you're not king yet, not yet."
Oh, yes, the really short
Yeah.
kind of
He's like,
cut off so
"But
yeah,
you're not king yet, not
yes.
yet." Yeah.
It's almost
That
like,
was
can we channel, Hannibal Lecter for a
yeah.
second?
That was kinda unintentional comedy there,
A little bit, yeah.
but now let's get to the stuff that is funny because this movie, once, Thor, he's this cocky character, he's the Prince of Asgard. We see him on like his coronation day. He is moments away from being crowned the new king of Asgard, and that's when the frost giants break in and all hell breaks loose. And long story short, Thor is stripped of his powers, which we'll go through this in a little bit. He's cast off, banished to Midgard, aka Earth, and there it's basically a fish out of the water kind of storyline. And that's where a lot of the humor comes from. So,
from the first time he and Jane meet.
Yeah, that's actually what I was mentioned. Brittany, but talk about it, like how they meet.
Oh gosh. Well, when Thor is banished by Odin, right? Beautiful scene. And also we got Heimdall in the mix as well. Loki's present, and while Thor and Odin are arguing, Loki tries to come to Thor's aid and say father, and then you get the whole in other words, shut up, like I'm not talking to you kind of situation. And Loki's like, all right, cool. Odin literally strips Thor of his rights, his powers. You see like the armor that's behind over my shoulder over here, you see all that fall apart, and he goes, you're unworthy, just and I feel like as a parent, and I'm not one, I feel like the greatest thing you could do as a child to your parent is disappoint them. And to say you're unworthy is like right there on that same level, right? You're unworthy of my name. You're unworthy of your seat. So I'm going to humble you and banish you to Midgard, aka Earth. And once you're worthy, you'll regain your powers and your hammer and all that other stuff, right? So Thor is like traveling through what do you call it? I want to call it the Rainbow Bridge, but that's not what
the Bifrost, yeah.
Bifrost, yeah. Right? That Heimdall, controls. And when he lands in New Mexico, right? And you see like what I call crop circles, but it's not crop circles, right? Jane and company are there to witness this anomaly that's happening that normally shouldn't be happening. She's an astronomer. Astrophysicist.
Yeah.
Sorry. Astrophysicist. I'm gonna get this right. And it's just an encounter that when she witnesses like the anomaly happen and they're driving off, and she literally runs down Thor. Or did she no, she backed it up on the second time, but she hits him, and she's like, oh my God, like what just happened? And you see like this very handsome, very good looking man, and she's like, oh my God, like where did he even come from? And she's like, please don't be dead kind of situation. And, you take it from there, you take it to the hospital. And I love the hospital scene. I think the hospital scene is like one of the funniest scenes. And you start getting a taste of Chris Hemsworth's like comedy, right?
Yeah.
But that's how Thor meets Jane and company. It's because she hit him with her van.
Yeah, she hits him twice, like you mentioned.
Twice. Yeah.
Darcy tasers him. So lots of stuff happened to him. Of course, he's immortal now because he's been taken, his powers taken away, like you said, because Odin said, you're unworthy of these realms, you're unworthy of your title, you're unworthy of the loved ones you betrayed. I now take your power in the name of my father and his father before. I, Odin Allfather, cast you out. And then he takes away his hammer, which is Mjolnir, which, by the way, Mjolnir is basically a character in this movie. He's not just the hero's weapon. It's this character we're going to see play out through, the Thor films, but also the Avengers films. And so I think the way they handle Mjolnir is so cool. But
I like to call it Mew Mew. Thanks to Darcy.
Another funny moment. Darcy calls it Mew Mew. When Odin has the hammer, before he casts him out, he says, whosoever holds his hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. And so the hammer lands in New Mexico near Thor, but not like right next to him. And again, you get the fish out of water stuff. You get him, once he gets out of the hospital, he's like, this mortal form has grown weak. I need sustenance. They go get breakfast. He has coffee. He's like, this drink, I like it. Another. He smashes it. But that's obviously like one of the funnier moments in the movie. It's kind of a classic. Another,
I think that was improvised, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? Okay.
I want to say it is. Don't quote me on it, but I do want to say or at least the rest of the cast were not aware of what Chris was going to do with
Oh,
it. So
wow.
like the
Okay.
shock was, I think, genuine. So I could be wrong. I could be lying. I am the goddess of mischief after all. So we'll see.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you could be. Um,
Could-
but in that moment, he also finds out that, hey, this hammer is landed. Of course, the people in this New Mexico town, which by the way is a fictional town, it's like Puente Antigua. They actually, it's not a real place. They think it's some like satellite that's landed, and of course they can't move it. They can't budge it. They're trying to pull it with
the
trucks
truck.
and trailers and stuff, and nothing's working.
Shout out to
Like this,
Stanley.
right? That's where we get Stanley's cameo, right?
Yep.
But one of the guys, walks into the diner where they're having breakfast and says, talks about, oh, it's about 50 miles west of here. And so Thor then gets up and leaves. He goes to a pet store and he's like, I need a horse, and
We
they're
don't
like,
have
we
those.
we only sell dogs and cats and like birds. And he's like, well, give me one of those that's large enough to ride. Like that's pretty
And
funny
he's so
stuff.
serious about it too.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
like later on in the movie when he gets his powers back and he gets the armor back and he gets the hammer and he gets the cape, the red cape, and it's this like shiny suit. Natalie Portman sees him. She's like, "Is this how you normally look?" He's like, "Yeah, more or less." She's like, "It's a good look." It's
mhm.
really funny the way she says it.
It's a good look.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that. And then another funny moment is we meet Agent Coulson throughout the movie. We've seen Agent Coulson in previous Marvel movies,
Mhm.
and at one point, Thor refers to Coulson as "son of Cole."
Son of Cole. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he says,
That
"Son
is
of Cole, you can count me as your ally if you return the items you've taken from Jane." Basically
mhm.
setting up his involvement in the Avengers in a way. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are some of the funnier moments. Is there anything I left out, Brittany, that you think of as like a funny thing from the film?
Uh no, I'm getting it crossed with Dark World. It's something that Loki did, but
Yeah.
I think even we haven't really talked too much about Thor's friends, right? The
Yeah.
the Warriors 3 or
Lady
whatever they're
Sif and the
called.
Warriors 3. Yep.
Yes. His friends are funny. They have a good time too. Nothing that stands out quite quite memorable, but nonetheless they have their their moments, right? They
Yeah.
have a good time. Even no, not really. We're good.
We're good with the funny. Yeah.
We're
I
good
mean,
on funny.
yeah, there's other little stuff here and there, but
Sure.
that's the majority of it.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, there's so much like I think the character arcs in this movie are so great and just the dialogue, all these scenes, like really every scene with Tom Hiddleston is like kind of classic in my mind. Like we
Oh,
see,
it's poetry.
if you take like you compare his character arc to Thor. So Thor's character arc, like I said, he's this cocky prince who thinks he's about to become king. He's not king. He has everything taken from him. He's banished to Earth. He's just a mortal man on
Yeah.
a in a strange world, right? And then he has to, regain his worthiness, right? He has to,
Mhm.
he sacrificed himself in
Be
order to,
humble.
right? He's humbled,
Sit down.
right? And he becomes, then he becomes Thor, right? He
Yeah.
regains his, it's the hero's kind of journey, redemption story, right?
Yeah.
With Loki, you have this character who is, he's in this family. Obviously, he looks a little different than the rest of his family. There's a reason for that. He learns that he was adopted, that he was, the son of the frost giant king Laufey.
Of the
And
Jotunheim.
yeah, he finds out that like he was basically, he was adopted during a war between
Yep.
Jotunheim and Asgard.
It's a
And
bargain.
yeah, Odin basically just took the baby, wanted to take care of him, but also as a way to like eventually unite the
Control.
two, yeah, the
Mhm.
two realms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
throughout
and
the
that
movie,
was
yeah.
yeah, that was a big blow for Loki when he learned, that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part in the beginning where they're fighting in Jotunheim. Thor goes to
Mhm.
Jotunheim after what happened with the frost giants infiltrating Asgard in the throne room or the trophy room or whatever that room is called.
Mhm.
And there's a part where Loki he touches one of the frost giants and his arm turns blue, and I think his
Mhm.
face a little bit does turn blue, and you're like, oh,
The
something's up with that.
eyes the
Yeah,
eyes change some as well.
right.
Mhm.
Right, but then later on, we get the reveal that he was adopted. Odin explains it to him,
Mhm.
and we get Loki who lays into Odin right before the
Mhm.
king collapses into his Odin sleep. Which also that's
Mhm.
a funny thing, the Odin sleep where he has to I guess once a year he has to take this super power nap to restore his powers.
That's my dog every day when I go to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, Luna is all about the Odin sleep every
She
day.
is.
She gets her rest.
She gets her 16 hours.
Yeah.
To go back about Loki and Odin having this very real conversation about who Loki is in comparison to his princely title, right? He's like, am I cursed? And he goes, who am I? And Odin simply says, you're my son. Like, that what more really do you need? Like, you are my son. I love you. I've raised you. You're my family. But for Loki being, let's say, of course, they're thousands of years old, of course, but like, looking at him, he looks like he's in his 20s. When you find out that you're adopted after thousands of years and you're just supposed to take it like easy, like, no, you're having a whole identity crisis.
Yeah.
But the performance of Tom Hiddleston in that scene, I mean, the emotional range that he showed from being like just calm and asking this question to almost like hyperventilating, I'm some pawn in your game of I
Mhm.
can't remember the direct quote, but just again, you hear these inflections and the tone shift, and then he really starts getting angry, and he really, like you said, lays in to Odin.
Yeah.
And I wish I had the script in front of me to read, of course, his dialogue, but nonetheless, it is such a powerful scene between
Yeah.
these two men. And it's one of my favorite scenes in this movie because once again, Loki ultimately is crashing out, but he's crashing out in like the most eloquent, I can't even say it, eloquent way
Yeah.
that I feel British actors can do. Right? That's, you have
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston who's English, and you have Sir Anthony Hopkins who's Welsh, and it's poetry. It's almost Shakespearean when they're having this argument or discussion or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite scenes.
And then Loki then becomes the king with Thor cast out and with
Mhm.
Odin in the Odin sleep.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah. Loki becomes the king.
Mhm.
Then he tries to make a deal with Laufey to, hey, this is your chance. Odin is asleep. Come kill him. You can retrieve the casket of the ancient remains, which is kind of the
Mhm.
MacGuffin in this movie, or it's definitely
Mhm.
the MacGuffin in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and basically it's his way to get the leader of Jotunheim to come to Asgard so that Loki can then make himself out to be a hero because he then saves his father from being killed
Right.
by Laufey, and
Because although Odin is asleep, he still is aware of
right,
everything that's happening.
right,
He can still see everything.
yeah,
Crazy. Magic's crazy, y'all.
and
No, but like Loki was already conspiring long before Odin fell into the Odin sleep.
yeah,
He was conspiring with the Odinheim before Thor was set to be named king of Asgard. So yeah, he was always up to no good. Thus,
yeah,
God of mischief.
yeah. And you talked about how Odin can hear and see even though he's asleep.
Mhm.
Heimdall can also hear and see, and he knows that Loki's up to no good. So
Wicked.
we get Heimdall, and then Heimdall, obviously lets the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, go find Thor because they know, hey, this is our chance to, we've got to find Thor. We've got to, make sure
Mhm.
he's still out there. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. I like with those characters coming to Earth to find their friend. Of course, Thor thinks that his father died because Loki came to visit him on Earth as like a vision, basically to tell him like, hey, father died. It was, your banishment and the threat of a new war was just too much for him to take. But don't blame yourself. He really he really gasses up Thor a
Oh,
bunch of times
yeah.
in this movie, like
Really
in
did.
the beginning, he urges him, "Yeah, let's go to Jotunheim, and I think you're totally right. Let's go take care
Mm,
of them because if a couple of them can infiltrate us, then what's to say they can't bring an army back next time?" Like he's
mhm.
really trying to, you know, get over on his brother, but
Yeah,
then
it's
at
like,
the same time,
watch this hand while the other one
right?
does something else.
But at the same time, Loki's a kind of a complicated villain because he doesn't hate Thor. I don't think he wants to kill Thor. It's they have a very strange relationship, Thor and Loki. Like they're brothers, obviously they're,
Yeah.
half brothers, but or I guess, adopted brothers.
I mean, they were children together, they played, they fought,
Yeah.
they did everything together, right? They're 'cause they're, I think, roughly about the same age, give or
Yeah.
take. It's hard to know with,
Mhm.
these immortals, essential immortals, right? That they just don't age. But for Loki, he just always viewed Thor as being unfit to be king of Asgard. Like, yes, he's Odin's son, what have you, but then Odin was also keeping secrets that will be revealed in the third movie. But the idea that Loki just took it upon himself to think, you know what, my brother's not worthy of being king. I'm going to overthrow him, make it look like it was someone else's fault. That way I can be king.
Right.
Takes balls to do that, right? Like, and you have to be smart and very cunning and very resourceful in order to do that. Loki, Loki, low key
There you go.
is Slytherin. I welcome him with open arms into my house. But but yeah, I mean, that's all that it was. It's not that he didn't have love for his brother. You're right, it's complicated. It just became even more complicated than it needed to be once Loki learned his true heritage. Heritage? Parentage? Whatever you want to
Heritage,
call
yeah.
that.
There you go.
Parentage. When he learned about who he really is and how he was used in his mind by Odin, right? Even though he was loved, he was taken care of. He, you know, had a brother to grow up with and a mother who taught him her ways of witchcraft and such, right? He had a place.
Yeah.
He wasn't ever treated as an outcast.
Right.
But yeah, when you have a truth bomb like that dropped on you, it does alter your mind and feelings
Yeah.
towards others.
Yeah, the one thing about the movie that isn't really answered, does Thor know that Loki is, like, not his blood brother? Because they never really address it. Obviously, Frigga and Odin know,
I
but but Thor, they really don't seem to even kind of they don't even, like, question it. It's like it's not even something that I don't know. What do you think about that?
I feel I really don't have an answer. I feel that
Yeah,
perhaps Thor is not 100% surprised because they are two different personalities,
right.
having allegedly come from the same parents, right? But they're just so on the opposite ends of different things, right? But then when you look at Hela and Thor,
Yeah.
same daddy, very different people. So hard to answer that question, Justin. I want to say that Thor perhaps is not 100% surprised, but then at the same time, maybe for Thor, it doesn't matter to him as much as it does for Loki, right? Because that
Right.
conversation kind of comes back up again in Avengers, the team up movie, where Thor's trying to reason with Loki to stop this madness and he's come back home and we love you and what have you, and Loki's like, no, he goes, that was never my home. And it's like, oh, quit being a drama queen and just like deal. you know
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of big moments, and I kinda want I guess it's probably better to go in chronological order, but I wanna
let's do it.
mention there's a lot of Avengers well, there's not a lot, but there's some Avengers stuff that I wanna mention because there's several references that are mentioned and I mean, one of the biggest ones is we get Hawkeye. This is where Hawkeye makes his MCU debut as a hired gun, so to
Oh, that's
speak,
right.
for
Hmm.
S.H.I.E.L.D. and for
Yeah.
Coulson.
Hmm.
And, you know, Thor is, the mortal man. He finds out where Mjolnir is being kept.
Mhm.
S.H.I.E.L.D. has built this kind of makeshift facility around it. I think they're kind of studying the area, but obviously they can't move the hammer. No one can.
Right.
And the hammer is just like right there where anybody can go up and grab it, try to, get
Mhm.
to it.
Yep.
And we see Thor just like wrecking shop. He's just going through these guys, beating
Yeah.
them up. And then we see Hawkeye. And Hawkeye is, I guess meant to be like an insurance policy because Coulson calls him and Hawkeye's like, "Hey, you want me to slow this guy down? What are you doing? Are you sending more guys in there for him to beat up?" Kind of has like some jokes. And then you
Yeah.
see like Thor do like a drop kick to one of the dudes in this like muddy, uh,
Mhm.
you know, uh, rainstorm scene, which is a pretty cool action scene. I kind of forgot about the drop kick.
Mhm.
Um, but Hawkeye's up there and he's up high watching Thor. He's got a beat on him. He's got his arrow drawn. And he's like, "Hey, Coulson, you better call it because I'm starting to root for this guy." And that's really all there is to
Hawkeye,
Hawkeye's
yeah.
first appearance in the MCU. But
Yeah.
obviously that that is his entry point because obviously he
Mhm.
becomes a big part of the Avengers film that comes a few years later.
Mhm.
And Thor gets to Mjolnir, but he's not able to lift it, not able
Yeah.
to pick it up. And then
The
he's
big
taken into yeah,
"Roar!"
yeah. Then he's taken into custody, but he also like, as he's like looking at Mjolnir, he sees like this like what like a glyph or something on the side that kind of lights up.
Mhm. It's,
Just
the Norse,
right,
uh, symbol or the
right,
Celtic symbol. Yeah.
right. And then it goes away. But
Yeah.
Coulson then interrogates him and is, asking him like, where are you from? Are you, where were you trained in
Steel.
Afghanistan or yeah,
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, that's when Loki shows up and tells him, your father died, you know, your banishment and the threat of war was just, too much for him to bear, but
Yeah.
now the burden of the throne has fallen to me. And yeah.
What is
So
it?
yeah,
What's the shirt? I am burdened with, glorious
source
purpose.
purpose. There you go. There you go.
One of my favorite shirts.
Yeah. So he's burdened with the throne. He says, hey, Thor's like, well, can I at least come home? And he's like, no, he's like, because of the truce with Jotunheim, you can't return. Also, mother has forbidden your return. So like he's really hitting Thor hard with like, hey,
Yeah.
you basically killed dad. Like you started a war, mom hates you, and you can't return home because if you do, it's gonna cause a battle between Jotunheim and Asgard. So he really, really kind of lays it on thick. And then as Loki's leaving, or his vision or whatever's leaving, he goes over to Mjolnir, tries to give it a try, and he can't lift it either. So
Nope.
even though he is the king of Asgard, he is not worthy of of
Nope.
of
Of
Mjolnir.
Thor's hammer.
And this is where we
No.
get the mention of Donald Blake. So in the movie, Donald Blake is this guy who is Natalie Portman's character or Jane Foster's ex, right? But
Yeah.
in Marvel Comics, Donald Blake is like basically the alter ego of Thor in some of the comic runs where
Ah.
it's like his Clark Kent to Superman. Thor is Superman,
Mhm.
Donald Blake is like Clark Kent. So the alter ego stuff. So I appreciate the fact that they work that in here in a kind of an organic way that isn't like over the head. And it's like, I'm sure there are many people who don't even know that reference. They think, oh, they just picked a random name and whatever.
Mhm.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
I appreciate the organic structure
Yeah,
that is of a shirtless Chris Hemsworth.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And then I think that's the beginning of his contractual obligation to be shirtless in every Thor movie.
Right.
2 big thumbs up. Yeah. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Gotcha. Um, so more kind of Avengers, kind of mentions. There's a scene where when Shield they take all of Jane's equipment because Jane's obviously like she's trying to find this like wormhole. She knows that Thor or she thinks that he fell from the sky, even though everyone's like, this guy's crazy, like he's not really this Norse
Mhm.
god.
Mhm.
Um, all of her equipment has been taken by Shield, including her notebook, which has all her notes and everything, which Thor actually gets back for her as he's kind of, being released from custody by, Selvig basically goes to Shield and says, "Hey, this guy, he's a doctor and, he's my
Really
guy."
drunk.
And clearly Shield like doesn't believe them, but they
Yeah.
just kind of go along with it. That's kind of like one of the biggest plot holes in the movie. Like, why would Shield just let this dangerous person who's like beating up 40 of their guys just like walk free because this rando scientist is like, yeah, this guy, I can vouch for him. And so he
Mhm.
needs to, he needs to come home with us. Right.
Yeah.
Um, but during when Shield is taking Jane's equipment, Eric Selvig makes a reference to Bruce Banner. He says, "I know a scientist who's a pioneer in gamma radiation." And so, that's obviously a reference to the Incredible Hulk, to Bruce Banner.
I don't think I ever picked up on that line.
Yeah. And then later on in the movie, Loki sends the Destroyer, which the Destroyer is this indestructible iron suit. It's kind of like a automaton. Basically, it's a faceless giant iron suit that is it's like sworn to protect the throne room or the trophy room in Asgard, but Loki sends it to Earth to, pursue the Warriors 3 and Sif and also to kill Thor
Mhm.
and potentially kill Thor, right? And whenever we first see the destroyer land on Earth, we see Jasper Sitwell, one of the agents with Shield. He goes, "Is that one of Stark's?" Talking about Tony Stark. And Coulson's like, "I don't know." He's like, "That guy never tells me anything." So now you have your reference to Iron Man, you had your reference to Hulk, you had Hawkeye make an appearance. The only two you don't have, are, of course, are Black Widow and Captain America. Because Captain America is the next movie. The first Avengers, the next movie to follow this.
Mhm.
And we did see Black Widow make her debut in Iron Man 2, which was the movie
Yes.
prior to Thor. So
Yeah.
you can see them putting the team together. Really cool stuff.
Very.
Even the ending of the movie. The ending of the movie, it says Thor will return in the Avengers. That's the first time we ever saw them put that
Mhm.
up. We've seen them say Iron Man will return, but they never said
Right.
in the Avengers. So that was a big moment in the credits.
The
And
huge
then
promise.
right. And then you have the post-credit scene where Selvig is taken to Shield and we see Nick
Mhm.
Fury, another key ingredient in the Avengers initiative. And basically that scene leads to the Avengers. It was actually directed by Joss Whedon, who directed the Avengers. And in
But
that scene, we see that Loki is not dead.
yes,
He is the puppet master controlling
Selvig.
Selvig, which
Mhm.
obviously pays off in Avengers. So
Mhm.
those are the Avengers things I noticed.
Mhm.
We have Doomsday coming up at the end of the year. Obviously, we're really excited about it. I can't wait for it personally.
Yep.
And so it's any kind of reference to the Avengers we're of course going to mention. So Brittany, is there anything else that like you can think of from as far as like an Easter egg about the Avengers that I didn't mention?
No, I think you probably hit it, you know,
Mhm.
pretty accurately. I'm looking up to see the quote or the dialogue between Loki and Thor, or I'm sorry, it's Odin at the very end of the movie, where Loki is trying to plead to his father as he's hanging off, the
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
broken bridge. I did this for you. I did this for you, father. All of it was. Here we go. I could have done it, father. I could have done it for you, for all of us. And Odin says, "No, Loki." And then Loki stares for a moment. He loosens his grip, and then Thor, Loki, no, no. Loki falls into the wormhole.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic, but it's just so
Yeah.
good. Like
Yeah.
it does tug at you because it's like you obviously don't want to root for the guy, but
Right.
then in his mind, he did it
Well,
for reasons, or he's lying, through his teeth, you know.
the thing is like he wants to prove that he's worthy, that he's the worthy son, and he's
Yeah.
the heir to the throne. And he
Mhm.
really wants their acceptance. Like that's the thing is like he doesn't hate Odin, he doesn't hate Thor, obviously he doesn't hate his mother Frigga. He just
Mhm.
wants to be accepted. And even to rewind a little bit in the movie, when Loki kills Laffy, he's had Laffy come to Odin's bedside and
Mhm.
Laufey stands over Odin, and he has a spear or some kind of weapon. And he
The
says,
ice,
"Okay,
like
you're
an ice
right."
sphere.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
He's like, he's talking to Odin, and Laufey says, "Your death came at the hand of Laufey." And then Loki, surprise from
Love about it.
behind, kind of like shoots him with some kind of like he has his spear, but he can shoot, lightning or whatever, and hits him and says, "And your death came by the son of Odin," which is kind of
Mhm.
a kind of a swerve, and it's like
Mhm.
the way the music is played, it's kind of like, oh, this guy like, so he's not really he's kind of the villain, but kind of not. Like
Mhm.
it's a very interesting character, Loki. Obviously, the god of mischief, the trickster that he is, but
Mhm.
it's I mean that's obviously one of the better moments in the movie.
Yeah.
But like you said, then at the end of the movie, where Loki's idea is he's going to use the Rainbow Bridge, use the Bifrost to destroy Jotunheim, so that he
Mhm.
can kind of be this hero, this conquering hero of Jotun, over Jotunheim. And
Mhm.
Thor decides, like even though early in the movie Thor was ready to go to war with Jotunheim, his time on Earth showed him, like I said, humbled him, but also he learned to like, accept things in life and not be this like warmongering,
Mhm.
leader. And he basically destroys the Rainbow Bridge
Yeah.
in order to stop the destruction of Jotunheim, and in
Mhm.
turn makes it where he can no longer, in theory, get back to Jane, who is still on Earth. So
Yeah.
that's a great moment in the movie. Obviously, at the very end of the movie, when Thor is there with Heimdall, and they're looking at the bridge, and Thor says, can you see her?" Meaning
Yeah.
Jane, and he says, "Yes." Heimdall says he can see her, and he says, "She searches for you." And they show Natalie Portman. She has like a smile. It's a really
Mhm.
cool way to end the movie,
Really
like,
nice.
and obviously we know that they do find each other again in the
Of
next
course.
movie and then in
Of
other
course.
movies. So,
I will say, and again, I'm still blown away every time I have watched this movie and think Kenneth Branagh, Gilderoy Lockhart, actually directed this movie. The cinematography
yeah,
is so well done
yeah,
in this movie. Like the rotating kind of camera angle when you see them walking down the hallway, and that's kind of repeated. You'll see that again in Black Panther and like other Marvel movies and what have you. I think that was a really cool effect just to kind of keep things interesting and what have you. Um, yeah, just cinematography across the board was incredible. The CGI, I think, after 15 years has held up quite well.
mhm,
I don't feel like watching it in this movie from 2011 and it's now 2026. I don't see I don't see problems, right? For me personally.
yeah. No, it
It,
looks
this
good.
this movie has really held up in my personal opinion, and I don't know, it's just a very well done movie. I did want to go back real quick, Justin, to one of the funny quotes. I don't remember if you said this earlier, um, but Thor is bringing Selvig back to Jane's like trailer thing. They go out drinking and
Yeah,
what have you, and Selvig I guess is trying to keep up with Thor, and you just don't drink with a marathon runner, like just don't.
right.
Um, Jane goes, "What happened?" Thor, "He's fine. We drank. We fought. He made his ancestors proud. Put him on the bed." "Oh, I still don't think you're the god of thunder, but you ought to be," says Selvig.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so cute. It's just I don't know, just those little moments
yeah.
between the characters is well done.
Because Selva is the one character who he knows the Norse mythology. He knows,
It
like, he
does.
talks about how this is like when I was a kid, like I knew about Thor and the
These are
Bifrost and
stories I
yeah,
grew up with.
yeah, Mjolnir and all this stuff. Like, that's not real. This guy's a total fraud. But
Yeah.
obviously when Sith and the Warriors 3 come to Earth looking for Thor, I think everyone, Darcy and Selvig and of course Jane, they realize like this Thor guy's legit. Like he's
This
the
is
real
legit.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the best scene of the movie is whenever he proves he's worthy and reclaims
Yeah.
Mjolnir. And
Of course.
basically he doesn't have any powers, but his friends are there. They're going to try to fight the destroyer. And Thor and Jane do the work of, and obviously with Darcy and Selvig, they try to get all the people that, in the town out of the town, get them to safety.
Mhm.
And then you see like Sif and Lady Sif and the warriors fight Destroyer,
Mhm.
and obviously the Destroyer is like too much for them. So Thor is like, tells his friends to, save themselves, return to Asgard, stop Loki. And then he goes to the Destroyer and basically says, like, hey, like, talking to Loki, knowing that Loki sent the Destroyer, he's like, brother, like, I don't know what I did to to upset you, but like, I am truly sorry. Killing these people won't do you any good. He's like, so instead of taking their lives, take mine. And Loki kind of, it's like kind of gives in,
Pauses.
realizes, yeah, gives in. Then he has the
So you think.
yeah, he has the Destroyer backhand Thor. Thor is like, you think maybe he's dying or whatever, but in that
Mhm.
moment, he proves to be worthy. We see Odin's quote again about, whosoever, is worthy, be granted the power of Thor. We see
Mhm.
Mjolnir, rocket up skyward,
Vibrate.
right, and then come flying down to him, and then obviously we have the transformation where he puts on the armor, flies on his body, has the cape, and he's now the mighty Thor once again. So to me, that's like a highlight scene. The music, the score is especially strong
Mhm.
in that portion of the film.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, this movie from start to finish was incredible storytelling.
Yeah,
How the very beginning of the movie just, like, grabs you, and then you go back to kinda tell the story of who these characters are regarding the gods, and how from childhood to adulthood to being banished and just becoming more mature, right, for Thor,
yeah, yeah,
and more self-aware, and realizing that there are more important things in life than just being a king. There are people. The people is who you should care about, and
yeah,
yeah, it's a great story for sure.
yeah.
And I think everything was just done extremely well. Character arcs were built very well.
Mhm.
It's not a perfect movie, of course not,
No, no.
but it's really, really good. It is definitely one of my favorites when it comes down to the solo movies of, MCU characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I really agree. It's one of those things where, like, before I watched it this past week, I don't know that I would have had it. I did not think highly of the movie. I didn't think it was bad, but, like, now I'm like, this movie is pretty strong. I
It's
really
really
do
good.
like it. Um, I bought the movie on Blu-ray and on 4K a while back.
Oh, wow.
I know it's available on Disney Plus, but I
Of
don't like
course.
the commercials. They annoy me. And so, this movie has a lot of deleted scenes, which a lot of them are really
Mhm.
good, but there's one that I like especially. It's so after he does the another scene where he's like, "Another." Well,
Mm,
he once he's kinda humbled in on Earth, he goes back to that diner and gives them a coffee cup, and it's like, "Hey,
sweet.
my bad." Like, I didn't know what
Yeah,
I was doing.
yeah.
Here's to replace the one I broke. I kinda wish they put that in the movie 'cause it's a pretty good little scene, like, it's well done, and I mean, I guess they didn't obviously need to,
No.
but usually when I watch the deleted scenes, and I watch the deleted scenes for all these Marvel movies because I love this franchise. This is my favorite franchise by far. Um, Usually you can see like, okay, there's a reason why this one didn't really fit. It was just an
Sure.
alternative take, but that one is a pretty good one. I think it should have been in the movie. I think it would have like, I don't know, it would have added a little extra thing to show that he's worthy because he's been humbled. Now he learns, he instead of being this like demigod his whole life,
Mm,
now he's immortal for a while. He can't do all the fantastical things that he can do in Asgard.
yeah, but I think the scene that they did keep with him helping Jane out with, I can't remember if it's doing the dishes or,
Yeah.
like, putting
Yeah.
away, something like that, to
Right.
me, while it's not on the same level as recognizing I should have never broken the thing.
Yeah.
Here, I'm giving you something to replace it. That scene with Jane, because it is with Jane,
Right.
and knowing how significant she would be in his life, that spoke volumes in the sense of, I'm not just this spoiled prince who doesn't care about anything. Like, I can be of
Yeah.
use and do good things. And it's because of Thor that all of her stuff, equipment, her notebook, and everything got taken away. And he feels bad. He feels some type
Right.
of way about that. So
Right.
that scene, I think, what stayed is just a bit more powerful in the message that they're ultimately trying to share, is that he has become humbled. He has learned to put others before himself. And in this case, it was going to be his future love interest. So,
right. Yeah. I think that in that deleted scene, they actually connect those scenes, because I think it's that breakfast scene where he then walks back over there to the diner and gives them the cup, the one that he broke. So they kind of connected what we were talking about here. So again, it's a very short little scene. I don't know why it wasn't in the movie. It's like 2 more minutes.
Because it's like, if it's needed, is it really needed or is it not? Like, that is it going to make or break it? That's the ultimate question of any creative.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. I just thought it's kind of cool. And then one of the scenes we didn't mention, I think is kind of important to mention, is the scene where Thor and Jane are kind of sitting out under the stars.
Oh, yes.
And he talks about how, your ancestors called it magic and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they are one and the same thing. And
it's beautiful dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, this is a well-written movie. This is a well-written movie, well acted. Like it's a strong movie. Like the only plot hole I saw really was the whole Selvig thing. Like, why would S.H.I.E.L.D. let this scientist take this, quote unquote doctor who's beating the hell out of everybody, like just let him go free? Like, but then there's also part of it where like Coulson's kind of onto him, like, hey, something's up with this guy. Like,
we're just gonna keep tabs on him.
Yeah, maybe they kind of read into it, like maybe we can use this guy. Maybe this guy, maybe he's one of these Avenger kind of guys that we can use with Stark and Hulk and
Sure.
So
yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah. Overall, really, solid movie.
Yeah, really solid. Yeah. It's one of those movies where now, like when it's on FX or when it's on TV or something in the future, I'll definitely like watch part of it. Whereas there's some movies like I just kind of avoid. Not that I don't like them, but I don't really feel like I need to see them again. Now, this movie now is like gonna be like in my rotation for Marvel films. So
yeah, they don't play it as often as they used to, but it's definitely worth rewatching.
Right. Yeah. So, so this is our first anniversary that we're doing for the MCU this year. Yay. But we're doing 3 more of these because we've got one coming up next week. We've got a big anniversary, the 10th anniversary of Captain America: The Civil War. Woo! That's next week. We're doing it actually on the day, 10 years to the day that it came out. Then in July, we're doing the 15-year anniversary of Captain America: The First Avenger, which is the movie that follows this Thor film in the MCU in phase 1. And then later on I believe in November, we'll be doing the 10-year anniversary of Doctor Strange. So we've got some anniversaries to take care of. Yep. We've obviously got the re-release of Endgame that's coming in September, which we learned recently that there's going to be new footage. They're going to have footage that was never before shown and also some new footage, which this probably means there's going to be an end credit scene, I assume, a post credit with probably Steve Rogers and or Dr. Doom, maybe both. So we're very much looking forward to that. We will definitely be talking about the re-release of Endgame, no doubt. And all this leads up to Avengers Doomsday in December. And I can't freaking wait. So so we're doing a lot of stuff right now. We're doing The Boys. We're wrapping up the final season of The Boys, and we're going to be doing more Marvel. We've got Daredevil Born Again. That season 2 is wrapping up next week. We'll be doing it in a few weeks. The Punisher special that's coming up, I believe next week. We'll be doing that in a few weeks also. So it's not May yet, but this is the start of our marvelous month of May.
Why are you setting me up for that?
Yeah. So this is a fun movie, honestly.
For sure.
I would definitely recommend it to anybody out there who's like, oh yeah, I've seen it once. Go back and check it out again. Like, given how Thor's storyline is played out, and obviously the God of Thunder continues in the MCU, we don't know what'll happen in Doomsday or Secret Wars, and then who knows if there's going to be a 5th Thor film. I think there probably will be, but we shall see how it goes. But I think to go back in time and to see this character from the beginning, with knowing about what happens in the future with this character, it kind of gave me a better appreciation for this movie. And I think if you go back and check it out, I think you'll agree with me.
Yeah, for sure.
So Brittany, now everyone knows what we thought about the first Thor film. We want to know what you think about it. How can you let us know?
Well, as always, we invite everyone to join us here on our live chats and participate in I already said it, the live chat. Just kidding. It's been a day, guys.
Yeah.
You know, this is our job after our real job, right? But we appreciate those who have taken the time to join us today. Shout out to King B. Johnson, who is in today's chat. We appreciate your comments as always and your support. You've been there for pretty much all of our pods. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We can't say it again. I can't say it anymore other than we really appreciate you and we see you. Thank you so much for being here. But we do invite everyone, of course, to subscribe to our YouTube channel here by clicking that button down below and hitting the like button and that notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live, which, as Justin has already explained, we have more content coming this summer for y'all and for the rest of the year. So be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like button as well. Really helps out our channel. We're still on the road to 500 subscribers, so we really like to get there this year as soon as possible. But we also have social media. You can find all of our links in the description box down below, and check out our audio podcast available to you on Apple and Spotify, as well as many other platforms that you can get your audio podcasts on. Give us a follow and give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
This movie, I like it. Another.